Rain hammered down like bullets on the thin metal roof. Inside a cold, two-room apartment tucked above an old auto garage, Daniel wiped sweat and oil from his face. His hands ached. He hadn't eaten since noon. It was nearly midnight. But rent was due in 4 days, his son's fever hadn't broken, and his fridge was empty except for some stale bread and one lonely egg. He was about to close shop when he heard the soft knock. Not urgent. Almost shy. He opened the garage door halfway, squinting into the darkness. There she stood, drenched, shivering, her jeans stuck to her legs, her white hoodie soaked through. She clutched a backpack like it held her entire life. "Sorry to bother you," she said, voice trembling. I just need a place to sit for a while. I'm not asking for money. Just a roof. Just for tonight." Daniel hesitated. In this world, kindness came with consequences. But something in her eyes, frightened, but not manipulative, made him pause. He looked at her clothes. Designer, but muddy and torn. Her shoes were good ones, running shoes with barely any wear. But she looked like she hadn't slept in days. He stepped aside. "You can stay," he said quietly. "Couch upstairs. No funny business. I got a kid sleeping in the next room." Her lips trembled into a grateful smile, and without a word, she followed. Upstairs, she took off her soaked hoodie, revealing a bruise on her shoulder and a white tank top clinging to her skin. Daniel looked away, grabbed a clean towel, and tossed it to her. "I'm Daniel," he said. "That's Noah, my son. You." She hesitated before replying. "Maya." She didn't offer a last name. He didn't ask. Trust wasn't built in the first hour. He made her a cup of instant noodles, cracked his last egg into it, and handed it to her. "You didn't have to," she said softly, cradling the warm cup like it was gold. "I know," he replied. "Eat." They sat in silence, the only sound the storm outside and his son coughing softly from a bedroom. She watched the closed door with something heavy in her gaze. "You okay?" he asked. Maya nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just thank you for not asking questions." Daniel didn't sleep that night. He stayed on the floor beside his son's bed, clutching his boy's burning hand, listening to every creak in the house. Maya was still there in the morning, and at 7:04 a.m., as Daniel brewed a weak pot of coffee, Maya walked to the window, pulled out a phone from her bag, and made one call. She only said 3 words. "Found him. Safe." Then she hung up. 5 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled up outside. Daniel rushed to the window, shielding his son instinctively. The door opened, and out stepped 2 men in black suits, and an older woman in a navy blue trench coat, eyes locked on Maya like she'd just seen a ghost. "Maya," the woman gasped. "Oh my God." Maya stood there, back straight, eyes tired. "Hi, Mom." Daniel's knees nearly buckled. "Mom?" The woman ran forward, grabbing Maya in a tight hug. "Where have you been? You disappeared for 4 days. We thought, my God, we thought you were dead." "I needed to know," Maya whispered, "if someone would help me without knowing who I am." Her mother looked confused. Daniel was completely lost, until Maya turned and looked him dead in the eye. "You passed the test." "What?" She smiled. "I'll explain. But first, get your son. He needs a hospital. Now." Daniel blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she said, stepping forward and placing a black credit card on the table. "He's going to the best hospital in the state. In a helicopter. Right now." Daniel stared at the card. Then at her. Then at the black SUVs. Then at the woman who'd hug her like she hadn't slept in days. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Maya gave him a small smile. "You were the first person who gave me something without asking who I was. Now it's my turn." By the time Daniel carried Noah down the stairs, 2 medics were already waiting at the bottom with a stretcher for drip and a soft, reassuring tone. Daniel's arms trembled as he laid his burning, half-conscious son into the crisp white sheets. Maya was by the SUV, speaking quickly into an earpiece. She wore a clean jacket someone had handed her, navy blue with gold buttons, and she looked nothing like the girl who'd knocked on his door 12 hours ago. Now, she looked like someone powerful, in control, like she belonged to a world far beyond his. The helicopter rotors thundered as they landed in the back lot of the garage, kicking up dust, leaves, and a sudden swirl of disbelief. Daniel had fixed engines his whole life, but never thought he'd ride in a chopper. "You coming?" Maya asked over the noise, stepping toward him with her hair whipping across her face. We leave now. He looked back at his garage, at the place where bills piled up on the counter, where oil stains marked every corner, where dreams died and responsibilities suffocated him every night. And he turned toward her. I'm coming. The flight to Whitmore Private Medical was short, but surreal. Daniel sat strapped in, hands still stained with grease, staring at his son's pale face. A team of specialists met them on the rooftop and rushed Noah away. Only then did Daniel speak. What the hell is happening? Maya sat beside him in the private waiting room, sipping water. You're not going to believe me. Try me. She set the glass down. Her hands were steady, her voice calm. My mother is Evelyn Sinclair, CEO of Sinclair Dynamics. Daniel blinked. The tech company, he asked slowly. The one that builds satellites and AI. Maya nodded. I'm her only child. And before you freak out, no, this wasn't some setup. I wasn't in disguise. I was actually running. I needed space. I needed to know if people saw me, or just the money. So you played homeless? He asked, almost defensively. No, she said firmly. I was homeless. For 4 days. I gave my security detail the slip. Turn off my phone. I was testing myself. Seeing the world without a net. Daniel stood, pacing. And then you end up in my garage. I didn't mean to, she said. But I'm glad I did. He ran a hand through his hair. You could have been anyone. A criminal. A scammer. What if I'd said no? You didn't. They sat in silence. Finally, Daniel looked at her. So, this was some kind of test. No. It became one. And I passed. Daniel, she said softly. You fed me your last egg. You let me sleep under your roof while your own child burned with fever. You didn't ask for anything. You just gave. She took a breath. I've met kings, politicians, billionaires, and I've never met anyone with a heart like yours. He turned away, throat tight. What now? He asked, barely above a whisper. Now, Maya said, standing and placing a hand gently on his shoulder. Your son gets better. And after that, Maya gave a small smile. I make one more call, and change your life again. Just then, the door opened. A nurse stepped in. Mr. Daniel, your son's responding well to the treatment. We'd like you to come see him now. Daniel rushed past her without thinking. Maya watched him disappear into the hallway, then pulled her phone out again. Tell the board I'm taking my personal investment fund. Yes, all of it. I found the next project. And he has grease under his fingernails and a heart big enough to save the world. Noah's tiny hand clutched Daniel's finger as machines beeped softly around them. The fever was breaking. His cheeks had color again. His breathing steady. And for the first time in weeks, Daniel felt something he hadn't dared to feel in a long time. Hope. Tears prickled at the edges of his eyes. A nurse brought him a warm cup of coffee. The good kind. He couldn't remember the last time he'd tasted coffee that didn't taste like cardboard and regret. When he stepped out of the room an hour later, Maya was waiting. Not the lost girl from the storm. Not even the billionaire's daughter. She stood in front of the large windows in a slate gray pantsuit, hair tied back, calm, focused, flanked by two sharply dressed individuals with tablets in their hands. You're early, she said, looking at him. I was going to give you more time. I couldn't just sit there, he muttered. Felt like I was going to break. I know the feeling, she replied quietly. The man on her left stepped forward. Mr. Daniel Reyes, we'd like to make you an offer. If you'll sit with us for 10 minutes. Daniel frowned. What kind of offer? Maya looked him in the eyes. A second chance. They led him to a private conference room. The lights were warm, the walls glass, overlooking a garden that seemed too peaceful for reality. Daniel sat in the middle of a sleek table, oil under his nails, calluses on his hands, still smelling faintly of garage fumes. The woman to Maya's right started speaking. You've operated Reyes Auto Repair for 8 years. Your reviews are spotless. Clients have described you as honest, skilled, and painfully underpriced. You've refused multiple buyout offers. Why? Daniel stared at her, thrown. Because it's not about the money, he said finally. It's about fixing something right. Giving people their lives back on 4 wheels. You don't cheat folks when they're already struggling. Maya smiled softly. The woman nodded. Good answer. Then Maya leaned forward. I want to give you a state-of-the-art garage. With 5 bays. A team of your choosing. And a 5-year lease, fully paid. Location. Your pick. On top of that, you'll be the face of a new initiative, Sinclair Repair Works. Honest garages, nationwide. You'll train the mechanics. We'll handle the marketing. Fair pay. Real impact. You in. Daniel laughed under his breath. This is a joke, right? No, Maya said. It's real. Because kindness should be contagious. And you reminded me what it looks like. He leaned back, overwhelmed. You don't even know me. I know enough. Daniel looked down at his rough hands. The ones that had scraped every bolt, turned every wrench to keep his son fed. And now someone had just offered him a way out. No, a way forward. He looked up. What's the catch? No catch, Maya said. But there's a condition. Of course. You can't say no, she added, smiling. Because I already told the board you were in. Daniel stared at her. You're serious? I don't joke about change. His throat tightened again. He reached across the table, shook her hand, and whispered, Thank you. She held on a second longer. Thank you. For proving that not all heroes wear suits. At that moment, his phone buzzed. It was the hospital nurse. Noah was smiling, asking for his dad. Daniel stood, breath shaky. I'll sign whatever you want. But let me go see my son first. Maya nodded. Take all the time you need. This is just the beginning. Outside, the sun was finally breaking through the clouds. But Daniel didn't notice. He was already running down the hallway to the boy who'd kept him going, unaware that the rest of the world was about to learn his name. Within 2 weeks, everything Daniel Reyes thought he knew about his life changed. The new garage was located in the heart of the city, where broken-down cars crawled past luxury dealerships, and desperate drivers prayed not to be conned by sleek-talking mechanics. The place was a wide, pristine property, polished floors, top-tier hydraulic lifts, scanning systems Daniel had only seen in magazines, and a front office with glass walls, not peeling linoleum. The sign out front read, Reyes Repair Works, where integrity meets the road. It didn't feel real, even when he held the keys. Noah was healing fast. Private care, a pediatric specialist on call, nutritionist, therapist, tutor, all covered under the wellness wing. Maya insisted be built into the Sinclair Foundation's outreach budget. Daniel argued at first. She didn't budge. You gave me a couch and noodles when you had nothing, she said. Let me do the same. I have everything. People from his past started calling. Old clients, skeptical friends, even his ex-wife, Carla. She showed up one evening, confused and awkward. This place is yours, she asked, looking around at the spacious waiting room with its espresso machine and neatly stacked magazines. She wore the same expression she had the day she left, with a mixture of disbelief and guilt. Daniel didn't hold it against her. Back then, they both were drowning. I heard about the TV spot, she said. You were on Channel 6. Yeah, he muttered, half embarrassed. They called it the Garage Cinderella Story. Maya arranged it. She really a billionaire's daughter? Daniel nodded slowly. And a good person too. Carla looked down. I never thought I'd see you like this. I didn't either. There was a pause. I'm proud of you, she said. Daniel nodded, not knowing how to respond. Some wounds didn't need words. They just needed to be felt. That night, after Noah fell asleep in the new apartment upstairs, attached directly to the garage, Daniel sat on the rooftop and watched the stars. Maya joined him quietly. She brought hot chocolate, the real kind, not powdered. You okay? She asked. Daniel chuckled. I'm sitting on top of a garage I couldn't have dreamed of a month ago, sipping billionaire cocoa, watching my son sleep safely in a warm bed, and people are calling me a local hero. So yeah, I think I'm okay. Maya smiled. You earned it. He glanced at her. You still think I passed your little test? She looked serious suddenly. It wasn't just about you. It was about me too. I needed to remember who I was. Strip away the money. See the world through someone else's eyes. And what did you see? She looked into his eyes. Humanity, in its rawest, most beautiful form. Daniel held her gaze a second too long before turning away. You ever think about staying? He asked quietly. She hesitated. I do. He nodded slowly. Neither spoke again for a while. The quiet between them said everything it needed to. Below them, cars rolled past. Life moved forward. But up on that rooftop, something gentle and unspoken was building. Something stronger than the metal frames Daniel had spent his life fixing. Something real. 3 months later, the grand opening of the second Reyes Repair Works branch drew a crowd. Media, locals, even city officials. But Daniel stood off to the side, hands in his pockets, not used to the attention. Noah ran around, healthier than ever, grinning ear to ear. Maya walked up beside Daniel, wearing jeans and a tee. Simple. Real. You did it, she said. You helped me do it, he thought, but just nodded. An older man approached, gruff, skeptical. You the owner? Daniel nodded. The man looked him up and down. Heard you don't cheat, folks. We don't. Then I'll be bringing my truck by. He walked off. Maya smiled. That right there, Daniel said, watching him, means more than any headline. Later that night, after the celebration, Daniel sat back on the shop couch, the same kind he once offered to a stranger in the rain. Maya sat beside him. I'm not going back to the company, she said.